we have been talking to you a lot about the realities of crime in big cities all across America and how it's getting worse. It's getting worse from the low-level street stuff, the crimes of vagrancy, the quality of life issues, all the way up to murder, to shootings, and rapes and other of the most serious crimes out there. True in New York, Portland, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Houston. Find me a major city, and chances are I'll show you a major increase in crime in the last 18 months. Number of factors, but a lot of it ties directly to not just the BLM movement, but Democrat policy decisions and prosecutors' offices. So here's just an example of what we're talking about. In New York City, it's a horrific crime. A woman was stabbed to death on the Lower East Side earlier on Sunday morning. A man followed this woman to her home and stabbed her over 40 times and killed her when he forced his way into her apartment on the Lower East Side, right here in Manhattan. And he was out on supervised release on 3 open cases, including one where he randomly punched a stranger on the subway. He also has such an extensive record of crimes in New Jersey that they didn't even list them in the reporting about it. But he's out on supervised release, stabbed a woman to death. Maybe this is a guy that shouldn't have been out, obviously, on supervised release, but we have soft on crime policies. Meanwhile, in crazy land, you have people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez spewing nonsense about how people that want to be tough on crime, they want to stop people from getting the baby formula they need, because you got to hear this to believe it.
Because we run away from substantive discussions about this, we don't want to say some of the things that are obvious, like, gee, the child tax credit just ran out on December 31st, and now people are stealing baby formula. We don't want to have that discussion. We want to say these people are criminals, or we want to talk about people that are violent instead of environments of violence, and what we are doing to either contribute or to dismantle that.
This is the fundamental fallacy. You're hearing it from someone who is not very smart, but is very powerful in the Democrat Party. The fallacy, Clay, of course, is that we shouldn't be enforcing crimes against individuals more strictly or just enforcing them at all, because society is the one that commits the crime. And the notion of stealing baby formula, I've seen a lot of videos of people stealing Louis Vuitton bags at $10,000 a pop. Haven't seen a lot of baby formula theft.
Well, and this is where all sane people need to start pushing back in a real way. And I mean sane people, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, because the numbers reflect that the overwhelming majority of the American population believes that police have to be able to do their jobs. And when you are allowing mass thievery to occur, and when you are allowing, and Buck, I mean, that story that out of New York, I mean, that guy followed her up 6 flights of stairs and stabbed her to death. Should have never been on the street, right? And what we are seeing happen, and by the way, that's not an outlier story, right? That's not something that rarely happens, because the murder rate is skyrocketing. Every city in America right now, there is a story like that. Everyone who is listening to us right now, whatever city you are in, there is somebody who is 100% innocent that's been brutally murdered by someone who should have never been on the streets if we were actually enforcing our laws.
That is the critical point. These are people overwhelmingly, when we find out about these heinous crimes that are happening, these murders as they're going on in city after city, they're not first-time offenders. They've got rap sheets, that look like a telephone book. And time and again, a prosecutor comes along and says, oh, but, this person had a tough home life. Or, oh, but we want to be, more social justice focused, or whatever the case may be. Or we need to balance out the numbers of who's in prison and for what reason. So all of that, all those decisions which come from a left-wing mindset in this country result in more dead people, and disproportionately, if we're going to talk about proportions, more dead young minority men. That's
Amen.
What's actually happening as a result of these progressive prosecutor policies and all the rest of the madness.